Okay, so we've all done this. I have done it. You've done it. You know someone that's done it. I know somebody that's done it. And that is, we've all purchased something to try to impress other people. Whether it would be a new car, a new gadget, new fancy clothes, new luxury item, whatever it may be, we did it because we wanted to impress others. Now, I think it's time for us to stop trying to impress others and actually impress our future self. Because that's what's most important in the end is our future self. Because our future self later on is going to thank us for not caring about how other people thought about us, about how we dressed, about what car we pulled up in, but instead thank us for being the good stewards of the money that we earned, the money that we received, and invested it and grew it. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how you should stop worrying about impressing others and start worrying about impressing your future self. So, let's get to it. So, let's start with the obvious. Humans are social creatures. Unless you're one of those people that are recluse and don't like to be around people, then okay. But most humans are social creatures. And because we're social creatures, we tend to make decisions based on how people perceive us. So the perception of others actually influence our decision. Now, psychologists call this social comparison theory, the habit of measuring our self-worth by comparing ourselves to others. Now, let's take this a little step further, and I want to share with you a study. Um, Studies show that social comparison is often linked to materialism and decreased life satisfaction. The Journal of Economic Psychology reveals that people who are more focused on external validation are more likely to engage in conspicuous consumption, buying things that look good on the outside but don't add to long term financial security. Now, the consequence of this is the mindset of impressing others lead to poor financial habits, the lack of savings, overspending, living above your means, and neglecting important goals like saving or investing for the future. Every dollar spent to impress someone also is a dollar that could build wealth for the future. Now, the consequence of this is the mindset of trying to impress others, leading to you overspending, having a lack of savings, and also being stressed out of having so much debt because you spent money that you didn't have to buy things that you couldn't afford just to impress others. So, with that, let's dive into a book that I enjoy reading. It was a book that I read when I was starting off in the financial industry. It is a book that resonated and became real when I was an investment advisor and I was working with the very clients that I read about, which was the book called The Millionaire Next Door by Tom Stanley and William Danko. Now, this book talked about how self-made millionaires did not wear flashy clothes, did not project wealth at all, and did not have mansions and fancy homes. Like, these were your average millionaires that if you were to meet them in the street, you would not think they were millionaires. And of course, social media portrays the millionaire as the person with the Lamborghini, the person with the nice clothes, the person with the luxury goods and purses and the mansion and all the girls around them. Whatever that image that you see on social media, know that that's not really what millionaires actually do. I've worked with millionaires. I've built investment portfolios for millionaires, and they just had like some of them had average jobs. Like it wasn't anything like wow or like oh my gosh, like you did that. It was just like yeah, I just had an average job. I just saved and invest consistently. I was married. Me and my wife were both on the same page when it comes to investing, and we just consistently saved. And we taught great values and money principles to our kids, and they're doing well. Like, it was not your, hey, I'm gonna pull up in a Lamborghini and I'm gonna show you how I became rich, and you can buy one of my training manuals on how to become rich. No, it's funny because every time I would speak to a client and they would tell me how they're able to build up their savings and build up their wealth, it was pretty much consistent across the board. They just lived below their means and they focused on the future. They focused on what they wanted to do later on down the road. And the conversations I was having with them was like about what they wanted to do in retirement, about how they wanted to travel, about how they wanted to spend time with their family, and how they wanted to just do the hobbies they enjoy doing. That was it. It was never about how they wanted to buy a luxury car. That wasn't what the conversation was about. Now, the book Millionaire Next Door is a book that you should read. It's actually right here. And another book that I encourage you to read, I'm actually going to do a book review about this, is the book called Stop Acting Rich. And that's the same author by Tom Stanley. It's a great book. And it builds on the concept of the millionaire next door. Now, let me give you some historical context about this, okay, or historical perspective. Since the 20th century, Western culture promote promoted the idea of consumption or consumerism, and this has promoted the idea of success being tied to materialistic possession, which is a warped view, actually, because there is nothing worse than tying your values, your principles to materialistic things. Because in the end, it's all vanity. And what I mean by that is it's not going to last. You're gonna you buy think about it. You buy the latest gadget, you have that feeling for a couple of days, couple of weeks maybe, and then the feeling just fades away. And then next thing you know, you're just looking at it, it's okay, it's just another laptop that I have. It gets the job done. And then the next gadget comes along. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, I want that one. I want that one. And then you're in this constant cycle. And so the idea of consumerism, the social influence that we have today in our society from our peers, right? Because we're social creatures, we are concerned about how people perceive us. So we will act in a manner in which we want people to perceive us in a socially positive way. And one of the things that we have learned over time is to buy things that signal to others that you're doing just fine. You're doing a good job. You got the nice purse, the expensive purse. You got that nice car. You got a nice big payment on that car, but you got the nice car. You got it. And so we're signaling, constantly signaling, and we are trained to do this through the marketing approach that's being pushed onto us. And we need to break out of it. And here's some reasons why you want to break out of it. Let's talk about credit cards. Yeah, it's like the Achilles heels of many people. It's like the weak point. And it's one of the things that hold you back, that drag you down, that keep you down. The average US household has a credit card debt of 6,200. And much of those debts stem from purchasing luxury items or expensive items, which leads to short-term satisfaction, but in the end leads to long-term financial strain. I mean, that's really what you're doing to yourself. And the cost of this is you robbing from your future self. because the money that you could be using to invest or to better yourself, and what I mean by better yourself, I mean by, maybe learning a new skill, maybe using that money to actually invest in a business that can generate income for you later on. Instead, you're using that money to pay down a credit card. And I've been there, and it sucks because it's like, dang, I could use this money for something else, but instead I'm paying down this credit card. And what I've been doing in doing that is robbing from my future self. Another thing is the lifestyle inflation. I alluded this in my other videos. Lifestyle inflation basically is you increasing your lifestyle as your income increases, which is pretty backwards, right? Your lifestyle increases because you had an increase in income, when instead your lifestyle should either decrease or stay the same as your income increases. Because guess what? What was so bad about that one car you're driving before you got the increase in income? Think about it. That car got you to point A to point B. I mean, it got you from point A to point B easily. There was no problems. And if there were probably like minor problems. And so now you're increasing in car because you increase in income. So now you literally just took that increase in income and put it into the car. Just hit my mic there. And you're literally throwing your money away. That's essentially what you just did. You just threw it away. Oh, here's the here's the income increase, and here it is out the window, buying this luxury car to impress others, to signal to others, hey, look, I got an increase in income. I got this new stuff now. Come on. You know it's true. I know it's true. I've seen it. I've done it. You've seen it. You've done it. You've seen other people that's done it, right? So another thing is a long-term impact when it comes to you buying a luxury item. Now, a perfect example is buying a luxury car on a 5-year loan. That 5-year loan, you're paying $700 monthly on it. Now, that $700 could instead be money that grows over time to $56,000 in 10 years if you invested it at a modest return. Come on, think about it. That is like 5 years of making a luxury payment of $700 is money out the window. But if you turn around and invested that $700 for 10 years and you got a modest return, you could be looking at $56,000. So let's talk about the practical steps you can take to break out of this mindset and mentality. Okay, number one, we want to set financial goals. Okay, setting financial goals tells us that we're aware of our future self, we are in touch with our future self, and we are working towards our future self. And in order to be able to do that, you want to be able to set goals because you're working towards something. You have to define what that goal is, whether it will be to get out of debt, or whether it will be to build up your savings, whether it will be to save because you want to actually buy a house and you want to do it the right way, whether it will be to save because you want to invest in a business later on down the road and you want to have the cash to be able to do so, or whether it would be to save because you wanted to invest your money to generate passive income for you later on down the road. Whatever it may be, you want to set that financial goal. And once you set up that financial goal, you want to start setting automatic savings plan in order to feed into that financial goal. What I mean by setting up an automatic savings plan, I'm talking about setting an automatic withdrawal from your checking going into your investment accounts where that's going to be working towards your goals. Okay, the next thing you want to do is track your spending. There's no better way to expose what you're spending money on than you actually keeping track of what you're spending money on, because then you'll be able to say, oh, I'm spending money on this. That is dumb. Let me stop doing it. because it's not helping me. I'm throwing money out the window. And the easiest way to do that is actually just starting to work on a budget. That's the easy way to keep track of your spending. And I've actually made a video on actually a budgeting method that you can use, which is the 50/30/20 rule, which is a pretty straightforward budgeting system that I apply in my life, and it's worked out for me. It makes my life a lot easier. So try that. Another thing you do is live below your means. Now, I talked about the millionaire next door, Tom Stanley, and a lot of the millionaires that I spoke to, they live below their means. That's how they got there. They didn't leave above the means, because living above your means means you're going to credit card debt. And if you're going to credit card debt, trust me, you're basically borrowing money from your future self to live the lifestyle, the quote unquote lifestyle that you want, which is a facade. So live below your means that you're actually putting away money and not spending your future money, and your future self is going to be able to enjoy that money as well. Now, delaying gratification is something that we all struggle with. I struggle with this, but this is another Achilles heel. This is another thing that's setting us back, is when we're not able to delay gratification and say, okay, you know what? Though I want to go on this nice vacation, though I want to be there in front of that beach on my laptop, taking that Instagram photo of me doing that, I don't need to. I can do that later. And that's fine. You got to be able to delay gratification. So, impress your future self. Don't worry about impressing others, because they're concerned about impressing others and they're concerned about impressing others. And the cycle just goes on and on and on. Instead, impress your future self by taking these action steps that I just laid out to improve your finances over time, to improve your savings, to achieve those financial goals that you want to achieve. Because trust me, the feeling of achieving your financial goal is so much greater than the feeling of you purchasing that next item just because you want to impress somebody else. The feeling is much greater. And I'd rather have the feeling of achieving my financial goals than the feeling of trying to impress someone else or impress other people based on the materialistic thing that I buy. Because in the end, I'm going to have that moment for a minute and then it's going to fade away. But the feeling of achieving this financial goal, I'm going to be feeling that, seeing that every day, because I'm going to be enjoying the fruits of my labor when I do that. So if this video inspired you to impress your future self, if this video inspired you to stop trying to impress others, go ahead and subscribe and make sure you hit the notification button, because I want you to be updated with the new videos that come out. Come on, let's get to it.